city of 11 million people with almost no one.
Spread of the virus is
Assalamualaikum to Miss Amizatul Hawariah. I am Liyana Binti Muhammad Lutpi Taufik, and joining me today, Nur Afiqah, Nur Rabiatul Rahah, Hazim, and Nurfarahanis going to present you the impact of increasing government expenditure to recover Malaysia's economy from the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I will begin with a brief introduction. A brief introduction regarding this topic. Coronavirus disease, or COVID-19, made its first appearance in Wuhan, China, and began to spread globally at the end of 2019. As a result of the pandemic, it has powerfully impacted the world economy, which significantly impacted the industry development too. Therefore, government of Malaysia has taken a proactive actions to break the chain of COVID-19 by applying movement control order MCO. However, MCO itself has caused government to lose 1 billion ringgit Malaysia and resulting the collapsing of tourism industry, the increasing of the unemployment rate, and a sharp decline of GDP since the Asian financial crisis. Okay, to resolve the issues, government has allocated 322.5 billion ringgit to revive the economy of Malaysia in the National Budget 2021. Allocating the amount of 322.5 billion ringgit Malaysia have impacted many sectors, especially tourism, followed by the healthcare sectors and also Malaysia's development. This fiscal policy measure that has been taken by the government in increasing expenditure will help Malaysia from the effects of COVID-19 and also boost Malaysia's economic growth. Now, the real question is, what precisely are the impact of increasing government expenditure to recover Malaysia's economy from the effect of COVID-19? Nur Afiqah and the rest of my team will enlighten you those impact that you have been questioning. Thank you. That's all from me.
Hello, my name is Nur Rabiatul Binti Ahmad, and we will be move on to the impact of increasing government expenditure, especially on the several impacted economic sector. There are three sectors that we'll discuss in this report, which are healthcare system, tourism, and development sector. These sectors are chosen because it has significantly been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Background healthcare system Malaysia is divided into two sectors we know as government and private sector. The both sector that has grown a lot in the last 25 years. About 65% of people get their healthcare in the public sector. People in Malaysia pay for their public healthcare through the general taxation from their income. So that's why government is more than cheaper than private. But there are still not enough high quality care center in the remote part of the country. For example, we can see when we go to the rural part of the country. Effect COVID-19 to healthcare system Malaysia. As we know, COVID-19 is the biggest global health crisis in the century. The financial minister say the government and private spending on health has been rising from 4.2% of GDP in 26 to 4.7% GDP in 2020. Even though the pandemic and it has responded very fast and big, the effect and changes that have been made will last for a long time. People in Malaysia and around the world have had to deal with COVID-19. An estimate 28 million procedures have been put on hold because of the pandemic. As of early May 2020, the health system was able to keep up the demand to use the ventilator at around 30% of the total capacity set for the COVID-19 management. Next is government expenditure to a healthcare system in Malaysia. Prime Minister has announced that Health Ministry or MOH will get an 500 million budget, which is to purchase personal protective equipment, PPE and ventilators. Besides, government also spent an extra 1 billion ringgit to hire medical experts, buy medical supplies and hire other people and services to deal with COVID-19. The spending in health subsector also predict increase by 57.8% to 2.9 billion ringgit. In February 2021, MOH will start implementing the National COVID-19 Immunization Plan. They also plan for 3 phases that will vaccine. They also target in February 2022 more than 18% of the population or 26.5 million people over a year to achieve immunity. Finally, the collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency (MOH) established a temporary hospital in Maebs. About 604 beds have been prepared for the confirmed cases of COVID-19 with or without symptoms because the cases may peak in the mid-April. The Economic Action Council agreed to allocate 1,600 million ringgit to the MOH to fight the COVID-19 on 23 March 2020. Impact of government expenditure in the healthcare system on Malaysian economy. The free solution say that Malaysian public health spending will significantly rise in the short term, even though the country has made changes to make it more financially stable. As a result, expenditure on healthcare is expected to grow at a faster rate than last year, 6.9% in 2030. This year, 69.2 billion ringgit will be spent on healthcare system. The analysis say that expenditure on the healthcare system could rise 7.6% in the local currency term and 8.9% in the US dollar over the next 5 years. By 2025, it will reach 31.1 billion ringgit. There has been a rise in government spending on healthcare as a percentage of the country's gross domestic product (GDP) over time. Financial Minister Tengku Zafrul Aziz said that the country wants to make long-term changes to the sector.
Hi, my name is Nur Rabiatul Rahah Binti Fadzlan. I will be presenting the impacts of increasing government expenditure in the tourism industry on Malaysia's economy. Tourism is one of the most important sectors in the Malaysian economy. The sector has contributed 240.5 billion ringgit in 2019 at 15.9% of share to GDP. It also consists of 23.1% of total employment, which represents 3.5 million jobs. It is to no surprise that it is the third largest contributor to Malaysia's GDP. However, as the world is battling the COVID-19 pandemic, multiple restrictions and lockdown imposed by local governments all around the world has killed the demand for tourism-related services as people cannot move freely. Malaysia sees a 17.1% decline in annual percentage change in its tourism industry. Resulting from this, businesses operating in this industry are badly affected. They were forced to downsize their operations to reduce costs to stay in business. For example, companies have laid off some of their workers. This has caused another problem of rising unemployment. According to Department of Statistics Malaysia, the employment growth of the tourism industry has contracted 2.9% in 2020. To lessen the impact of COVID-19 on the country's economy, the Malaysian government has provided support by giving out economic stimulus packages such as Pemulih, Permerkasa and Permerkasa Plus. There are also specific incentives targeted to the tourism industry such as Penjana tourism financing and other measures. The Malaysian Ministry of Tourism's Art and Culture have reported that, as of June 2021, a total worth 65.1 million funding to 327 applicants under the Penjana tourism financing has been approved. This government expenditure has impacted the Malaysian economy, particularly in the tourism industry, in two ways, which are in the short term and the long term. In the short term, government expenditure is expected to firstly relieve the impact of COVID-19 on the industry, especially on businesses and to tourism-related jobs with the financial support and relaxation of requirements. Other than that, stimulus packages will also ensure that people have more money to spend, therefore leading to an increase in demand. This in turn causes an increased productivity. As the number demanded for goods and services increases, businesses will have to step up their production. And in the long term, if the trend of increasing productivity maintains, it will cause businesses to hire more workers to keep up with the operation and causing a decrease in unemployment. The improving situation will also welcome investments and enabling businesses to expand and produce more goods and services, which leads to an increase in aggregate output and boosts the Malaysian gross domestic product. We can see that government expenditure not only helped the tourism industry to cope with the economic effects from pandemic COVID-19, but it will also greatly benefit Malaysia to recover its economy in the long run. That's all from me. I will pass the presentation to the next presenter.
Thank you, Raha. My name is Mohd Hazim, and now I will explain about government spending in development. The total development expenditure in 2020 is coming from direct allocation amount to 47.5 million. The allocation will be focused on strengthening the country's resilience to a future change in the economy, such as the risk of a repeat high COVID-19 cases. The expenditure is used for improving public transport and public utilities, with a provided allocation 10.2 million. Some of the government projects in the transport subsector are include the construction of the Pan-Borneo Highway, electrified double track project, and upgrading MR2. Also, the government spent around 3 million to enhance agriculture and rural development. Among important initiatives are the upgrade of the rural water distribution system, monsoon season 8, and paddy farming production. Other initiatives done by the government is by support the recovery of the business and industry, especially for SME that were affected during COVID-19. The allocation of 3.1 million is used to create a program for SME to strengthen their entrepreneurial skill, enhance technology adoption in a business, and accommodate the needs of the business with a program such as corridor development and also UNB entrepreneur financing program. As a result of government spending toward the trade and industry, the subsector showed an improvement and better compared to first MCO where economic activity in Malaysia are closed. The unemployment rate decreased to 4.7% in February 2021. The number is reduced 3.1% of 753,000 unemployment people in Malaysia, which means 24,000 persons from it are now get employed. The increased employment opportunity will automatically to a rise in household income. When household income increase, consumers will be more willing and have the interest to purchase a good and services. The ability to consume given the positive wealth effect. This is a kickstart of economic growth during the recession in 2020. The increase of government spending will cause the aggregate demand to increase and the aggregate demand curve shift to the right. When the aggregate demand increase, which then increase the real GDP because of the rise in price. GDP is a measure of economic size and rate of growth. This means that the early pandemic of COVID-19 resulted in a huge drop in GDP caused by lockdown and slower economic activity. However, as a government spending impact the increase of real GDP starting in the second quarter of 2020 until the end of the year. That's all for me. Now I will pass to Farah for a conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Hazim. Hi, I am Nurfarahanis and I will conclude this video. In conclusion, to get Malaysia's economy back on the track, the government need to spend more money than usual. With this government alternative, they are going to help many people out there that have been affected with COVID-19. In addition, increasing government spending has helped the Malaysian economy. In the short term, it has also helped businesses in surviving and sustaining costs. In the long term, as demand growth, which will lead to more businesses, and it also lead to more jobs and a rise in the GDP. As a result of this collective action, all Malaysians have to help the country to deal with this major outbreak with different way. A big part of making sure Malaysia are free of COVID-19 is everyone. That's all from us. Thank you, miss. Have a nice day.